Melody is the single line aspect of music. A melody is a series of pitches one after another that forms a coherent musical thought. We can represent a melody in a visual way using symbols that are placed higher on a page if they are higher in pitch, and lower on a page if they are lower in pitch. So a short melody, such as this one, might look something like this. Harmony is the result of two or more pitches being sounded simultaneously. So if we added another line below our example melody and played them together, the result is harmony. And it would look like this on our visual representation. Rhythm is most basically the duration of each sound in music. We'll represent duration or rhythm along the left to right axis on our page. And we'll represent longer lasting notes as longer lines and shorter lasting notes as shorter lines. So we're going to listen to our melody again, and this time each pitch will have a different rhythm. So that time the second note lasted a little bit longer, so we'll redraw that as a longer line. The notes after it were a little bit shorter, so we'll draw those as shorter lines. And the very last note was about the same, so that will be about the same as our first one. Texture is the overall description of everything that is happening in a piece of music at once. So when we had our melody played by itself, we could describe that texture as a solo texture because it's a single voice playing all by itself. When we had our melody harmonized with the other line that we added, we could call that a duet texture because it's two lines or two voices happening at the same time. So the texture for this you might call a duet texture. There are other textures as well. One of the more complicated is called melody and accompaniment. And this involves a melody over top of another part that's simply there to support it. And a way you might map this out in a visual representation would be to show the two different things that are happening. So we have the melody up top, and then below it is the accompaniment pattern, which were all short notes, something like that. So you can easily see that this texture involves two things: melody on top and accompaniment on the bottom. Timbre is the tone color of a sound. Every instrument and voice has a unique tone color that changes the character of the music. The melody was played before by a piano, which has an opaque and unobtrusive sound. We represented this with a color, and that color was black. If the same melody were played by a brass instrument, or in this case something that sounds like a brass instrument, it changes the color to a more penetrating, powerful sound. It might sound something like this. And we we could change the color to represent this to the color red, which is a little bit more penetrating than black. If it were played by a different instrument, say a string instrument, it would become more mellow in timbre, and that changes the color further. It becomes more mellow, so we can change it to the color blue to represent the different timbre that strings have compared to brass.